Hell yes. Oh my God. You know, I've said it so many times over the last 12 months, well, 11 actually. This has not been a good year for the movies. Alright? But the things that have been good have been so good that they're genre redefining, they're generation defining. You know, Avengers, Black Panther, Love, Simon, excuse me, and now Creed 2, which is naturally a continuation of the Creed saga. And one of those films, kind of like, I felt the same way about this one when I saw the trailers, or when I heard they were making it, actually. That I felt about the Planet of the Apes remakes. These most recent ones. Is I'm like, why? Why are we doing this? The first Planet of the Apes remake was phenomenal. It did everything better than it could. Why do another one? Why, you know, leave it alone? And I felt the same way about this when I first heard about it. Creed was so good that I'm like, I don't want this to turn into the Rocky series. And let me specify here, I love the Rocky series. I am a huge Rocky fan. I love them all. But you can't escape the fact that as they kind of got up in numbers, the realism of it, the character drama of it, began to take a back seat to kind of goofier and goofier stuff. They became less about these, you know, this underdog fighting for respect, you know, both self-respect and public respect, and became, you know, goofier. Not in a bad way. Still watchable, still fun. I love all of them. But, you know, there's only so far you can go with the same basic story. And I felt that was what I was worried about with this one. Is, well, where else are you going to go? And then I saw the first trailer, and the guy turned around with the name Drago on his back, and I went, fuck yes. So if you haven't heard, or if you're not a fan of the Rocky series, or, you know, I think we need to call it something else now. I've said a couple times on here that the only people who have done a cinematic universe right is Marvel, and I don't think we can say that. The Rocky Cinematic Universe, which encompasses now his 6 films and these 2 films. You know, it's done right. So this one, Adonis Creed, the son of the late Apollo Creed, who in Rocky IV, Apollo Creed was killed in the ring by this Russian boxer called Ivan Drago, played by Dolph Lundgren. Well, now, all these years later, over 30 years later, Drago has a son who's a boxer. And as soon as young Adonis Creed, as played by Michael B. Jordan, wins the World Heavyweight title, they come gunning for him. So it's this huge thing with him. And you know, quite frankly, it's one of those things, kind of like when I was talking about the Pacific Rim sequel, is that if you had to make a sequel to Creed, if you really felt like that was something that needed to exist, this was really the only story that you could tell. Because this is the only real loose thread still hanging. He established himself, got out from under his father's shadow in the original Creed, and now he's dealing with that fear and that person that took his father from him. So a lot of conflicting emotions here. If you can't tell from my tone, you can't tell from the way I'm going, but this film is good. This film is, first of all, it's good on its own. And secondly, it is better than it had any right to be. One of the things I find really great about this movie is that, again, as I said, Rocky IV is kind of the cheesiest of the Rocky films. You know, very late 80s, Cold War, us versus them. You know, very, yeah, like I say, it's very cheesy. Wonderful cheese. Wonderful 80s cheese. But to take a plot thread from the cheesiest of a series and make it the center point of a very serious, very character-driven piece, that took guts and that took a lot of talent. And they did it. It's almost like if you decided to do a whole movie about what was the aftermath of the family of one of the henchmen that James Bond killed, you know? It's like, who were those guys? So taking that, I mean, that's a tightrope you gotta walk, and they walk it just perfectly. All right? It'd be funny to watch Rocky IV right before watching this one, because the tones are just so different. Rocky IV wants to be so serious, but it's, again, 80s cheese. This one actually is very serious and very heartfelt. Let me say this, too. If you are not on board the Michael B. Jordan train, you need to get your ass on it now. All right? The man is legit. He is the future. That is your future of Hollywood. Right there. That guy. And he's fucking awesome. All right? In everything he's in, he's fucking amazing. He's proven he can carry films. Now he's carried 2. Playing the same character in completely different points of his life, and showing that the man is growing up and changing as he gets older, as we all do. Yeah, it's... I can't say enough good about Michael B. Jordan and his performance in both of these movies. The guy is just... I said it in the Black Panther review. He is the future. He is the future, and we all need to get on board that train now. And if we do that, we're going to be much happier going forward. I will say this. I'm not a big proponent. There's this thing kind of going around where people want Black Panther nominated for Best Picture, and they want him nominated for, you know, Best Supporting for Killmonger. And I got to say, I'm not quite on board with that. But if he doesn't get a Best Actor nomination for this, that he was snubbed from it when the year the first Creed came out. If he doesn't get one for this, then I'm going to be pissed off. Okay? And furthermore, let's discuss my Italian brother, my paisan, Sylvester Stallone. This is a guy nobody fucking takes seriously. This guy does not get the credit he deserves for just how good he really is. He's a joke. People, and yeah, that's part of his gimmick. That's part of his personality. But that is indicative of the full man as Octopus's Garden is of Abbey Road. I don't know where I got that reference. I don't even think that reference is right. But the fact of the matter is, this guy wrote all the Rocky movies, directed most of them. And yeah, and he is a good actor. Okay? Maybe he's not ever going to do Hamlet. But he plays this type of character so well. We have watched this character grow and age and go through the stages of life, and it is heartfelt and wonderful the entire time. Okay? There's not much more to say about Sylvester Stallone. And if you are one of these people that like to diss on Sylvester Stallone, let me ask you this question. Did you create not one, but 2 characters so ingrained in our minds that they have become part of the pop culture lexicon? Huh? Did you? No? Well then, shut up. Okay? Rocky, Rambo. I'm not a fan of the Rambo movies, but still. All right? I mean, it's a sign of how good he is that, you know, these two movies exist. You know, that the Rocky series was so powerful, it inspired a whole new generation to tell new stories from it. That's a sign right there, folks. So yeah, these two guys, the cornerstones of the film, they're awesome. They're always awesome, and they're awesome together. Great teaming. Big shout out to Tessa Thompson as Bianca Creed, who becomes Apollo, Adonis's wife. She was his girlfriend in the first one, and his wife in this one. There's just something wonderfully, beautifully understated about this character. She's not the Adrian. She's a very fleshed out, very three-dimensional character, and I really love the small character details. It's a small thing, but it gives so much drama that she is a musician who is losing her hearing. Where Ryan Coogler came up with that, I don't know. It's great, and it pays off even more here. She is a fully realized, fully fleshed out character, more of a partner to Creed than I think Adrian ever really was to Rocky. Adrian's role in the Rocky movies was kind of go, no, Rock, don't take the fight. And then of course I gotta go take the fight, Adrian. That was kind of Adrian's role. Very thankless kind of task there. But she's not like that. She is his partner. She is his conscience, his confidant, in all of this. Also, you got to give some big ups to Phylicia Rashad, who's always just so dignified and just, such a... Michael B. Jordan has had some great actresses play his mother in these movies. I mean, he's really got a great thing going on. You also got to give big ups to the two, I won't even call them villains, let's say the antagonists. Great to have Dolph Lundgren back as Ivan Drago. All right? Great to have him back. Not much to say. He doesn't get a lot of scenes, but he's got them, and it's just, there's a lot of good stuff going on there. I have to give real big ups to the guy playing his son. I cannot remember his name, but he, from what I can tell, he actually is a boxer. These last couple Rocky movies, Rocky Balboa, Creed, and now this one, they've gotten actual boxers to play the antagonists, and all that. So this guy's not a trained actor. All right, he's clearly there because he's a boxer and a legit boxer. But I got to give him credit. He doesn't talk much. He doesn't have many lines. But he does a lot with just a look or the way he reacts to something. And, the way he reacts to his father, Dolph Lundgren is carrying the weight of their scenes. He's kind of carrying it. But the way he reacts to it, the way the actor playing the younger Drago responds to him, there's a lot of character going on there. And that's not easy to do from an acting standpoint. So I give him big ups. And I also got to say, man, this guy, he is fucking scary looking. Like, he is huge and ripped. And you're just like, holy shit. If I saw that guy coming at me, I'd be pissing my pants. So, you gotta, I guess, that's what they were going for. But he was great. He was a really good. And what's neat about this movie is the antagonists have something to gain and something to lose. They're not just poking Creed to be dicks. They're fighting for something. I don't want to spoil too much, and I don't want to give much away. It's not a huge secret, but, it's like they're fighting for their own respect or their own kind of comeback trail. It's rare in any of these movies, or in a Rocky movie specifically, that the bad guys of the piece are given any kind of story arc of their own. And there is a very clear story arc here. These are not just two bastards. They do some bastardly things, but they're not just dicks. They have a reason, and it's a reason you almost sympathize with. When you go into that final fight, I honestly felt a little torn. you kind of wanted the kid to win. Which is dumb. You're not supposed to, but I think that's good storytelling. That you felt enough for the other character that you wanted to see him succeed and kind of achieve his goals. Just as much as you wanted to see Creed achieve his. I gotta say also, man, the fights in this. The end fight especially. The end fight especially is so good, and the ending is got a little bit of a twist to it that ties back to the mythology of the Rocky series, and one of the things they're always talking about in all through this movie that you don't see coming, and it's again big character arc moment, and you're just like, that was the best fucking way to end this. That was the best way to do it. It was great. Yeah, and the fights were good, and the fights were hard hitting, like the sound mixing and the editing and the choreography. I mean, there were times when, when Drago Jr. hits Creed in the ribs, and I'm sitting there going, fuck. I'm telling you, nothing gets you more pumped up to go work out than a Rocky movie. Nothing. So is this movie perfect? No, not quite. There are a couple things I kind of want to... I have to touch on. Obviously, Ryan Coogler could not direct this one. He picked the director, and the director does a serviceable job, but I feel like the directing is much more by the numbers than the original Creed was. The original Creed, I don't know, there's an energy in the way it's shot that just, jumps off the screen at you, and this one doesn't quite hit that. It's serviceable. I don't know anything about the guy who directed it, if he's ever directed something, if this is like one of his early movies, if there's anything else. I get the feeling he's kind of like Ryan Coogler was, just this guy who's coming up that they kind of handed this film to and say, okay, you're coming up here, do something with this. And I think he does a decent job. I don't think it's great. I don't think the directing is as good, but I think it definitely shows a hand of someone who's learning their trade, first big budget thing, as far as I know. Again, if I do research and find out this guy's directed, 100 other pictures, I'm gonna be like, oh, well, foot in my mouth. Yeah. I also got to say the story of this one starts to fall back into a little bit of the Rocky formula, in that you have our champ, and they're being the champ. Yay, champ is good. All things are champy great. But here comes boxer antagonist number whatever, and challenges champ to fight. Champ goes for the fight without really thinking it through. Champ gets his ass handed to him, has to go through personal growth stuff, and then has to come back a better fighter to take him on in a rematch at the end. And while none of that is bad, there's a reason this formula worked so well in so many movies. As somebody who's watched these movies a lot, I can kind of go, okay, again, in comparison to the first Creed movie, where it was kind of a build. All the other fights, the mid-fights, were almost like a boxing card itself. Here's the undercard, here's the mid-card, now here's the main event. This one, again, it's like, oh, shit, okay. But, again, I felt like the character growth that the champ goes through in this one is much more personal, much more explored, and I think it's much more serviceable than kind of the ones that came before. I think that's the main thing about this movie, is it is a little formulaic. But they use the formula in some new ways, and they use the formula to their advantage. It's not so much a problem if something's formulaic. It's a problem if that formula if you don't do anything new with it. And I think they did. I think they really came away with something good here. I think that's kind of everything I wanted to cover. So final grade for Creed 2. I'm happy to say I'm going to give this one an A+. This was an A+ film. And I was originally at like an A-, and then an A, and then it grew. Like the film, like as you're going through it, it's not as good as the original, but it gets better and better and better until that final fight and the endings there were like literal tears. All right, manly tears, from me on all of it. There was so much good in this movie. However, I am going to say this, little caveat to this. I really hope that this is the end of the Creed films. Not because I don't like these movies, not because I don't love these movies. I love both of them now. But because I really do feel his story's wrapped up. Okay? I don't know where else we are going to go with him that is new and fresh and different. I worry that if they keep going with these movies, that it is going to become a little bit too much like the original Rocky series. And again, no disrespect to the Rocky series. Love all the movies in that series except number 5, which is forgettable. So if they kept making them, yeah, you could make these films entertaining and you have a good time, but they would lose, pardon the pun, they would lose their punch. They would lose the thing that makes them unique and makes them better than your average sport movie. The thing that made the original Rocky better than just an average sports movie. The thing that made Rocky Balboa better than your average old guy coming out of retirement story. And I don't want to see that happen. If they make another one, I'll go see it. But I really think for everyone involved, you told your story, you did your job, let Creed go. Until give it another 20 years, and then when Michael B. Jordan's older, and then he can do a movie where he trains the son or daughter of somebody he fought. I don't know. It's but yeah, I think it's time to let Creed let him go. But I still loved this movie, and boy, howdy, it feels good to love a movie again after this year. All right, so we are on Thanksgiving break, baby, and I am feeling good. I'm looking forward to some other films this weekend while I've got this long break. So I hope you'll come along with me. So until next time, drive safe, and I will see you at the movies.